Good morning. I'm pleased to welcome you to the second day of the Government to Government Violence Against Women Tribal Consultation. It's an honor to speak to you at this 17th annual consultation and to discuss the Justice Department's commitment to addressing violence against American Indians and Alaska Natives. At the outset, I want to recognize the significance of hosting this consultation for the first time in Alaska and to acknowledge the challenges facing Alaska Native women. Unfortunately, studies show that Alaska Native women are overrepresented among victims of domestic violence. In the state of Alaska, Alaska Native women comprise 7.5% of the population, but 47% of reported rape victims. And Alaska Native women reported sexual violence victimization at a rate 7 times that of non-Native women. These disparities are staggering. Yet Alaska Native women have been outspoken and successful advocates for change. Thanks to the hard work and advocacy by so many of you, we've made great progress combating violence against women and promoting tribal safety, beginning with the passage of the original Violence Against Women Act. I was privileged to work on that legislation as a young staffer nearly 30 years ago. That experience led me to pursue a career in law enforcement and public service. The history of that legislation is a history of advocacy from tribal leaders and community members, which also led to a steady march of important and long overdue victories on tribal safety. As many of you know, in 2013, the Violence Against Women Act included a historic provision that recognized the inherent authority of tribes to exercise special domestic violence criminal jurisdiction. I was proud to testify last year in support of the most recent reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which President Biden signed into law earlier this year. In particular, I was proud to support our renewed commitment to tribal sovereignty and the special domestic violence criminal jurisdiction. It provided for tribal prosecution of crimes involving sexual violence, sex trafficking, stalking, domestic violence against children and elders, assault of tribal justice personnel, and obstruction of justice on tribal lands. Now, the Violence Against Women Act of 2022 also establishes a pilot project to allow Indian tribes in Alaska to exercise special tribal criminal jurisdiction within Alaska Native villages. The Justice Department is committed to working with tribal partners and the Department of the Interior to support Alaska Native villages in exercising this authority. To ensure we're working in partnership, the department held a series of consultations over the summer to engage tribal leaders on their recommendations for the pilot project. We're eager to continue that conversation as we develop a streamlined process to designate tribes to participate in the pilot project and identify resources needed for this authority. More broadly, our work to implement the Violence Against Women Act's tribal provisions reflects the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to addressing the disproportionately high rates of violence that American Indian and Alaska Native communities experience. Last November, President Biden issued an executive order on improving public safety and criminal justice for Native Americans and addressing the crisis of missing or murdered Indigenous people. That same day, the Justice Department launched a steering committee to coordinate the department's efforts to address the issues of missing or murdered Indigenous persons. We tasked that steering committee with developing a comprehensive plan to strengthen the department's work in this area. And since its inception, the steering committee has engaged with tribal leaders and stakeholders to find ways to improve access to justice for Indigenous people. And in July, based on the work of the steering committee, all department prosecutors and law enforcement agencies with jurisdiction in tribal lands were directed to prioritize combating violence in Indian country and the unacceptably high rates of missing Indigenous persons. The new directive stresses that the department has a duty to investigate and prosecute serious crimes in Indian country, including domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And importantly, this directive also identifies specific actions that U.S. attorneys and law enforcement officers should take to help ensure their work is victim-centered and culturally and linguistically appropriate. The department also remains committed to implementing Savannah's Act and the Not Invisible Act, two important pieces of legislation designed to address the issues of missing or murdered Indigenous people. I was honored to join Interior Secretary Haaland on National Missing or Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day to announce the members of the Not Invisible Act Commission, which began hosting plenary meetings this past summer. Representatives from across the federal government, including the department's own Office on Violence Against Women, serve on the commission. The commission, though, also benefits from experts outside the federal government, including tribal members and survivors, who provide a range of expertise that will be critical to its recommendations for improving coordination and law enforcement response to violence against Indigenous people. The Department of Justice will now also have a Native American Outreach Services liaison who will work in the Executive Office of U.S. Attorneys and help ensure that victims and their families have a voice within the Justice Department as they navigate all stages of the criminal justice system. All these efforts require government-to-government partnership with sovereign tribal nations. We know from experience that Native communities know best how to make their communities safer. We look forward to receiving your candid feedback on our past efforts and how we can refine our work going forward. With your expert advice and by honoring the special government-to-government relationship that recognizes the sovereignty of tribal nations, we can make significant progress in the mission we all share, ending violence against women. Thank you for your continued partnership, your time, and your valued recommendations. I look forward to receiving a full report from this consultation. Thank you.